Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode is a pre-fight show for UFC Fight Night, Swanson versus Lobov. It's a featherweight clash in the main event. I can't necessarily say it's top contenders. I mean, you have Cub Swanson, who's a top contender, but Artem Lobov, who's, well, he's in the UFC, you know, not to take anything away from him. But, yeah, this is an interesting main event. I don't know how this got put together. Not to bash anyone here, it just has me scratching my head. Yeah, so this is a pre-fight show, the main card, with my predictions, and let's get started. So the main event is a featherweight clash with Killer Cub Swanson versus Artem Lobov, who is a training partner of the current lightweight champion, Conor McGregor. And yeah, Cub Swanson, I am I'm picking him by first round knockout, and I'm also gonna just say this, that if he does not finish Artem Lobov within the first 2 rounds, then he should just leave the UFC at this point. I mean, the betting odds have him as some drastic favorite. There's no reason why Cub should struggle with this fight. This should be an easy fight for him. Get this fight out of the way, and then fight a top 5 guy, and then prove yourself that you can beat the top 5 guy, and then try to make your case for a title shot. Yeah, so just, I mean, it's Artem Lobov. Artem Lobov he has heavy hands, but I think Cub's footwork is more than good enough to dodge the heavy hands and get out of the way of those tough, hard shots. And then the ground game is this day and night difference. Cub having a black belt in BJJ, that Cub will be able to do whatever he wants on the ground. And I think Cub may even try to go for a takedown or 2. On my fantasy, I said 2 takedowns, maybe taken on this main event. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm picking Cub Swanson by first round knockout here. I think Cub just goes into striking mode and goes for the knockout and gets it pretty quick. And then, yeah, if he doesn't get it, he'll just go for a ground game attack and then go for a submission. Yeah, that sums up this main event. Yeah, then in the co-main event, in the lightweight division, we have tough, durable veteran Diego Sanchez going up against Ally Aquina. Ally Aquina, of course, many of you know, trains with former UFC middleweight champ Chris Weidman, and Diego Sanchez is a staple of the Greg Jackson camp, you know, who's also, you know, has Cub Swanson and John Jones and many great fighters. Yeah, so this one, I'm picking Ally Aquina by decision. I think Al's been out for a while now, and he's hungry for a win, and he is just a young, hungry, durable fighter, and he can get this fight won. But it won't be easy because Diego is hard to finish. But I think Al gets it done by decision here. Then in a catchweight bout, we have Ovince St. Preux versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima. And yeah, it looks like Marcos missed weight. And yeah, you know what? I mean, I kind of went back and forth on this because Marcos has heavy hands and can get a knockout. But I'm going to say OSP gets a knockout here. I think they both go for a knockout, but OSP, having a height and reach on many of his opponents and knows how to use it, gets it done here. And also OSP having fought for a world title in the UFC. That experience plays off a major factor in this fight. And so I got OSP by first round knockout. But I'll be rooting for my boy Marcos. He's a great guy. And I think this will be an exciting fight no matter what. Then in the bantamweight division, we have John Dodson versus Eddie Wineland, 2 durable veterans. You got John Dodson, who won season 14 of The Ultimate Fighter, versus Eddie Wineland, who was, I believe, he had the first ever WEC bantamweight champion, and yeah, Eddie Wineland, he's fought for a world title in the UFC against Barao, and so this one, I gotta say, John Dodson has more juice left in his career than Eddie Wineland. I think Eddie Wineland's sort of on his way out towards the tail end of his career, and John Dodson is sort of somewhere in the mix in his prime. I can't say for sure, really, but I think this fight will be a good measuring stick. And if John Dodson just goes in and mops the floor with Eddie Wineland, then John Dodson is definitely in title contender mix in bantamweight division. Yeah, so and with that said, I'm picking John Dodson by first round knockout. I think that he's so fast and explosive that he gets the knockout and gets it quick here. And Eddie Wineland is capable of being knocked out. I like both these fighters as a fan, so I'll be rooting for them both to just put on a good performance. Then, also on the main card in the lightweight division, we have Joe Lauzon versus Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray, a lot of the casual fans won't know who Stevie Ray is, but he has had fights in the UFC. And with that said, I'm picking Joe Lauzon. I think his submission skills are just on another level, and I think Joe Lauzon gets second round submission victory here. I think Joe Lauzon will play it smart and make this into a ground battle, and he'll win all the exchanges on the ground and eventually be able to get a submission. I think the first round will be sort of back and forth, but then the second round he's going to find his groove. His corner will give him some tidbits of instruction that will make it even more dominant on the ground, and then he'll work in a submission and get it somewhere mid to late in the second round. I'll say rear naked choke. I think that's Joe Lauzon's pretty good at those, and he's good at getting bonuses for those rear naked chokes. Anyhow, to kick off the main card, the very first fight on the main card, in the welterweight division, we have Jake Ellenberger versus Mike Perry. Jake Ellenberger is pretty much fighting for his career at this point. He's had so many losses. He's a tough, durable veteran, but he's had so many losses, and yeah, I think this is definitely a do or die situation for Jake Ellenberger. Mike Perry, he needs to find his groove too, but I mean, he still has plenty of life left in his career. With that said, I'm picking Mike Perry first round knockout. I think Mike Perry has heavy hands, and he's not afraid to stand and bang. And I think Jake Ellenberger will be looking for some takedowns and to use his collegiate wrestling background. But if he can't get it, it's going to be a long night, or maybe a short night for Jake Ellenberger, and a great win for Mike Perry. And I think Mike Perry has that killer instinct. He's going to go for a finish, and he's going to get it, and he's going to get it quick. So I'm picking, Mike Perry by first round knockout. So there you have it. There's my predictions for this card. And stay tuned in the coming days for my post-fight show of this card. And until then, see ya.